Hi, Steve Stine from Lesson Face here. We're going to be starting part 4 of our Achieving Absolute Fretboard Mastery series. Okay? What we're going to be doing this month is we're going to be learning how to combine both major and minor pentatonic together to create some new and unique sounds that we can utilize in our playing. So I actually have a video for Guitar World called Essential Blues Basics, soloing with the combined major and minor pentatonic scales, and I would highly recommend that you watch that to get kind of a further understanding of how these work together. But let me show you what I'm doing. We've learned how to play minor pentatonic across the fretboard. We've learned how to play major pentatonic across the fretboard, and now we've added in the blue notes from last month. What we want to do now is we want to start learning how to kind of integrate those two scales together, the minor and major, to create some nice sounds. So what we're going to do here is we're going to look at the 5th fret of the 6th string. I'm going to play the first position of minor pentatonic, which looks like this. Okay. Then what I'm going to do, if I think of major pentatonic for us at this point is done by moving down 3 frets. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move to the 2nd position of major pentatonic, which is also at the 5th fret. What I want to start learning how to do is see those two positions together at the same time. So a nice way of approaching this, if you've never done this before, is you start off by looking at the first 2 strings, the 1st and 2nd strings here. If I played minor pentatonic, I'd get a 5/8 on both strings. If I played major pentatonic, I'd get 5/7. Okay? What we want to start learning how to do is combine those elements together, and all of a sudden we get a really unique sound. Now, this is the precursor. What we're doing right now is the precursor to what we'll be doing with diatonic scales and modes and all that stuff in the near future. So what I want you to really start thinking about is how these intertwine together. Now, if I took 5/8 and 5/7, and I just simply combine them together, it's going to sound more like a do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do kind of scale. But right now what we're doing, since we're coming from the pentatonic side of things and we're dealing a little bit more with a rock and roll feel or a blues feel or even a country feel for that matter, what we want to do is start figuring out how to phrase appropriately to make these sound a little more like those styles of music. Okay? So what I want you to think about here is instead of just playing 5, 7, 8 and combining them all together, is how to alternate major and minor notes. So for instance, on the 5th string, or excuse me, 2nd string, I might play 5/7. And on the 1st string, I might play 5/8. So I have... And then let's say I did something like that, and then I ended with a normal minor bend. So I went like this. Okay, and I just hit that 8th fret of the 2nd string and bend that up in the air, okay? So if I start looking at the whole thing, what I want you to see, I want you to visualize how the two scales or the two positions overlap each other, but let's create something that we can actually utilize as opposed to just being kind of confused by all the notes that we're looking at here. So let's say we created something that looked like this. It's kind of a fun shape. What you're going to do is you're going to start off playing 5, 7, and I notice right now what I'm doing is using my middle and pinky. Okay, you wouldn't have to, but that's what I'm starting off with. Then the next string I'm going to go 4 to 7. That's a major. So it starts off as a major pentatonic here. Then right here I'm going to go 5, 7. And then right here I'm going to go 6, 7. So I have... See how unique that sounds? If I was to take those notes and start doing something with it, it's going to start sounding way different than just a major pentatonic or a minor pentatonic. Okay? And you'll notice what I'm doing is simply creating a visual shape of going 4, 7, 5, 7, 6, 7. Then I might go 5, 7, 5, 8 up on top. Okay, and then what you can do is you can use any of the outside notes from that. For instance, if you wanted to do a bend, just a standard regular bend. You might just target into that bend. Okay, so it sounds really neat. Now again, we have to start learning when to do what. When do we play pentatonic minor, or when do we play pentatonic major, or when do we play this so-called kind of hybrid scale of combining major and minor together. That's another topic that we're going to get to. So what I want you to do here is I want you to start trying to explore moving through the shape that we just created. And while you're doing that, what I want to start doing is to add to our meandering that we've been doing this whole time, I want you to start really thinking about the essential techniques: hammer-ons, pull-offs, slides, bends, and vibrato. What we really want to start doing is learning how to use that within the context of our meandering. So if I go like this, or I go, you know, doing a bend and then adding a vibrato to it. Okay, I might add some hammer-ons. Notice how I'm hammering from 6 to 7. Okay, I could do some pull-offs. You see? So it's really cool. So I could take now all of these different colorful sounds. I could take a minor pentatonic and then drop into a major. And then do this hybrid. You see? So there's lots of really cool things that you can do. Now what I want you to really think about this month is not only that combination, but this little gem right here. The hammer-on from 5 to 6 on the 3rd string. This is one of the quintessential movements that make blues sound like blues. If we think about playing blues or blues rock and roll, most of the time what we're playing over is kind of an inferred major sound. But yet we're playing minor pentatonic over the top, which sounds awesome. Okay? But one thing that you can start doing is using this hammer-on from 5 to 6 to get a really cool basic blues, rock and roll, country kind of sound to your playing. Okay? So not only are you learning how to combine this kind of shape that we just did, but now what I'm doing is I'm going from the minor to the major third of the chord. So like in A chord, when I play the 5, that's actually coming from the A minor bar. When I play the 6, it's actually coming from the major. Now, most of what we're thinking about soloing over at this point is basically built off of power chords. That's why this works so well, is if you have this sound, and you use... See, rock and roll kind of has its own rules because not everything makes logical sense, but it makes sense in terms of rock and roll. And that's why we start off by learning so many things in terms of shapes and not in terms of actual theory. Now, that doesn't mean that theory isn't important. It's incredibly important. But you can do so many things before you ever get to that point by thinking and visualizing and listening, of course. Okay? So that's what we're going to be focusing on this week. We're going to be combining those together. And again, look up that Guitar World video that I had mentioned, that Essential Blues Basics, soloing with the combined major, minor pentatonic scales to get some ideas. And then with the meandering that we've been doing up to this point, we've been moving. We talked about the rhythm pyramid last month. We talked about pausing or stopping. Well, now what we're going to be doing is utilizing hammer-ons, pull-offs, slides, bends, vibrato, all of those kind of things within our playing of meandering. And all of a sudden, again, we're getting one step closer to making everything sound truly musical. So make sure if you have any questions, you let me know at lessonface.com. Practice hard and keep it up. Don't get too frustrated, and I will see you next month.